loves Castles and Crusades.
I have to check that out.
Loves it. He is the shirt. He loves it. Troll Lord hasn't been at Gen Con for the last 2 years, so he's been pretty sad about that.
Oh. But
they're the ones that make it.
That, I mean, I haven't played it, but that is actually pretty cool that someone loves it that much, because then I'm like, oh, it must be good if someone loves it that much, you know?
Mm-hmm. He's sad because there's not a lot of magic in it, and they make bards really, like, bards don't have any magical qualities. So he kind of does his own little side things to kind of amp them up a little. But otherwise, that's the only qualm we've had about it. And I've got their steampunk. They've got like a Victorian steampunk one that they've worked on, but I don't really have. This is like the first time I've gamed since the con, maybe, since Hoosier Con. So we don't have a lot of time, but we consistently end up buying modules and books and systems to look through, to learn about.
There's nothing like a well-curated bookshelf of modules and RPGs and everything else. It's the highlight of a home.
I would say the majority of my RPG shelf has never actually been played by me.
I mean, that's kind of like, that's a bummer, but at the same time, it's nice to kind of, be like, oh yes, let me take an idea from here. Yes, like, I mean, that's always been the thing of bookshelves. It's almost letting people know, hey, I might have read this, but this book tells you a little something about me. So
discovering Kickstarter really killed me on buying games I never played. And sometimes, like, I don't remember ordering anything. Oh yeah, this came 2 years ago. Gotcha.
Gosh, I gotta stay away from Kick. It's so good though. I got Gloomhaven when it came out. I still have not played it. I need to. So ready. We got the sound check. I got my pencil. I got
a copy of. It's the latest Power Rangers. I gotta move that. So while I'm adjusting this little chat box so we don't cut people off, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I am Pete, and I will be playing myself right now because I'm introducing myself, and I'm excited to start.
You can't hear me, or you can't hear Pedro?
Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Stand by.
Hey, he's coming through on my end. Which?
Good.
Can anybody hear me?
It might just be Sout. Welcome, Sout.
What in the world? I'm sorry about that, guys.
That's okay.
Aha.
Am I lagging or anything?
No, I can hear you pretty fine.
Okay. Just making certain it was just a... Okay.
It was perfect too, right before the Twitch started. Oof.
Sorry.
So, Sout, can you hear me pretty well now? I'll talk more into the microphone to see if that's what it is.
No, it was just I lost connection for some reason.
Ah.
So, like I said, normally on my laptop, so I'm on my desktop right now, so I'm hoping that it works fine.
This is good because I'll be able to see what time it is, because I'm like going to see the sun kind of go down, and I'm like, oh, it's getting dark now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see if it's a mute button. Maybe I hit my volume.
I like to pretend like I'm just in a gray box right now. That's all there is. I'm just in. I'm not even in a room.
Gray box?
It's a gray box.
I can hear you on Twitch, Pete, but it sounds like your volume is just way down compared to everybody else's.
Okay. How about now?
I can hear you through Skype. I do not have Twitch up. I'm trying to
It's still low.
Okay. La 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 la. No good? Well, we'll kill the fancy mic. We'll do the old school. That's easy.
This is a chat for old school, man. Old school RPGs, old school mics.
Okay, let me just make sure that that's the right thing going to escape. And tools. Options.
Yeah, that's better on Twitch.
Awesome.
Okay.
We can hear that sweet dulcet tone.
So, does everyone hear me okay then?
Yes.
All right. Well, then I won't mess with any settings. Let's see. Okay. Cool. Yeah, maybe I hit a button on my fancy mic. So, we'll just shove that over to this side here. So, Pedro, you told us all about you. Jessica, how about you? You know, say hi.
What about me?
You made a character. Her name is...
Yes. Brandy.
Okay.
Her name is Brandy. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is my
Yes.
computer freaking out again? Okay. Am I supposed to talk about my character? I'm sorry, I've never gotten this far before.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just letting you guys introduce each other. And Lucid, say hi.
Hello, playing Alistair Brumley.
Alistair Brumley. So we have Alistair Brumley, we have Isaac Oppenheimer, and we have Brandy Smith, our faithful teenagers in our Power Ranger adventure. So, like all good Power Ranger shows, it gets right to it. It is fast. Things go from left to right to left again. There's really not segues. They're just kind of like pow, 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 pow. So, the three of you, you've made these wonderful teenagers. I have a couple ideas of what school we go to. I'm going to throw it at Lucid first because you did get that app for Angel Grove. So, of course, you could say...
But I didn't have an app for Angel Grove.
In your belongings?
No, it was an app of Arcana. It was like my spell book, basically. It's
Yeah,
an app
yeah, yeah.
on my phone.
I was
But it's
pretty
not
sure you...
Angel Grove.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a rock from Angel Grove on a vacation we took.
Oh,
Yeah, and
It was
that's
like
what I was
a
going to say. Making
mysteriously
sure that you were
glowing
cool
rock.
with it, having it from Angel Grove, but not necessarily being there. So, ideas, right? We could be like in sunny California, which I think most of the show was, right? Which we could be in some place like Sweet Summer High or Sweet Valley High. Or I was thinking what could be a cool twist, since we're doing the Tarot Night theme, is we could put in New Orleans. And I think that's kind of a cool backdrop where we got like the Spanish moss and the two-story buildings, and we have a little bit of the South, but it's urban enough. It adds a little of that kind of creepy supernatural, even though you're probably still semi-preppy kids, or, you know, like...
Yeah.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So let's go with, I was thinking we could go with, is it Haim? Like Haim Saban? So I was like, we could go to Haim High.
Oh, there you go.
You know, anything we can throw to honor our roots. So at Haim High, I have you paired off in a science class. Now in science class, I was thinking chemistry, but Isaac's got all these great things that are like robotics, so I didn't want to rob you of it. So there's two ways we could go. We could either say that it's like chem lab or robotics lab, but ultimately I'm leading us towards a science fair. So it also could be something where you guys have like a science workshop after hours, and you could kind of choose what you'd want to do with that. So that's kind of, I throw that to Pedro first because you are the person with the strategy. I don't want to rob you of that extra side opportunity. Either way, you're going to be a lot better at this than the others.
Yeah, we could be in chemistry right now.
Okay.
Where I'm like maybe testing out some things. Really excited for the day to end because I have something I think is gonna definitely win. You know, again, the sort of that science fair, that science competition. I'm like, oh, I have a secret thing, definitely gonna win. But it's like it's kind of sequestered away, maybe like in a workshop or maybe like a garage back there. Very few people know about it, so it's like under like a giant white sheet almost. And I'm like, as soon as I finish this chemistry class, it might even be the last class of the day, and I'm just like chomping at the bit.
Okay. So, running with everything you just said, this is the first chapter in our story about freeing the Lost Rangers. Today's session is about accessing the Akashic Records. And I'm going to let that main window fade. Okay. So now we can just focus on the three of us. Well, four of us. I don't really count myself because I'm just like that. I'm like the Zordon voice over here. Like you guys are playing. You're the stars. So everything you just said about Isaac, cool. So you're in a classroom. This is Haim High. It's the last hour. I remember that being 7th hour, so we'll go with 7th hour. And your partner is Brandy Smith, which is a very unlikely pairing, but you two are neighbors. At least you think so. She often seems to forget that, whether it's acknowledged or not. And poor Alistair is also in this classroom, but without the genius mind, which is Isaac for this, he's forced over with the new kid. So Mr. Lloyd is the chemistry teacher. We'll say chem lab teacher, right? So you could have other fun stuff if you wanted. But Mr. Lloyd has introduced a new kid to class today. His name is, let's make sure I get it right, because if I get it wrong in the beginning, then I'm just going to always mess this up. His name is Percival. So Percival is a new kid, first day in school. Alistair, while he was staring at the projects in dismay, because as far as I know about your character, right, you have like a fascination of like mundane inspiration, but that's because you have these magical arcane arts that you don't really like to use,
right,
but you could if you had to.
Right.
So in your hesitation, as all of the class seemed to partner up behind you, Mr. Lloyd walked up to you and said, "This is Percival. Alistair, he's going to be your lab partner."
I'm sorry.
Everybody has these ostentatious names, and I'm like, I'm Brandy Smith.
It's fitting. It's very fitting because you're the standout, right? Sorry, Alicia. What were you saying?
Okay.
Say it again, Lucid. What were you saying, Mr. Lloyd?
After he introduces Percival and says, "This is my lab partner," I can kind of look at Percival and I'm just like, "I'm sorry. Nice to meet you."
Now, this is a good chance. What do you think Alistair looks like? And you can tell us as much or as little as you want at this time, and we'll kind of revisit that as we go along.
I think pretty nondescript, average, kind of diluted Western European looks. Family from there. So the magic legacy comes from sort of British magicians, the further back you get. But very much still American, though, not from England himself or anything. Tends to wear slacks year-round, wears like kind of sweater vests, and never seems to be hot or cold. Like it always just kind of seems to be the perfect temperature as far as he acts. No matter how cold or how hot it is, he's in the same type of sweater vest year-round, just about.
Which is awesome because Nolans is warm, right? Humid, hot,
right?
Unaffected. Okay, so almost as if you hadn't seen Percival yet, he introduces, he's like, "You're going to be Percival's partner. You get the new kid." And then he kind of steps away, and Percival kind of like walks in the door as if he was never even here yet. And when he does, he walks in, and just like Chris, I was going to say Chris Frank, but just like the Green Ranger, he comes in, brunette hair, pulled back in a ponytail, the epitome of he's tall, slender, but just muscular enough. He has this confident face, like he must be in college with zero acne. And he walks in, walks right up to you, and looks you over. "Alistair, nice to meet you." Instead of really kind of going to shake your hand, he just kind of pushes you a little bit with his closed fist. But kind of you think it's nice, but at the same point, it's a little, not hostile, but, pushy.
Right. I just kind of look at it as he does that. "Nice to meet you."
You see, there is another girl in class. Her name's Jody, and she just happened to be sitting right by the door. And you can just, it's like Percival just kind of glided in the room with just her head just slowly tilting and watching the whole time, as you could just imagine these little hearts floated up in the air. Until, of course, in the background, she gets called out on it because there's one of the two bully kids happens to sit right behind her, It's like, hey, I think Joyd is a crush. And this just kind of goes on as, Percival's now in your Percival's in your personal space. So, before you know it, it's lab time. So, let's kick it over to Brandy. What are you doing knowing that Isaac is your partner and he's already got this thing under a white wrap? Like, I'm assuming this means that, like, Isaac's been working on this, like, well ahead of the actual assignment in class. Which is kind of cool. I mean, you actually don't have any work to do unless you want to.
Nope. I try to peek underneath the white sheet.
Mr. Lloyd walks over to you and goes to slap your hand. Not hard, but kind of like, we can say he's got a ruler, right? And he just kind of slaps the ruler like by your hand, grabbing for it. I wouldn't do that if I were you, if you still want to win. Isaac, Pedro, what does she see when she just gets a little glimpse? Just a little peek.
Just a little peek?
Yeah.
All right. Still looking at that. You see under it sort of like this weird amalgamation of wires and maybe like strange liquids in almost these like translucent tubing apparatuses, and it like it's beeping ominously beneath it, and it looks almost like it's an espresso machine of some sort with sort of like modded parts on it, but that's just like kind of like at a glance. And as you kind of reach, you say, "Oh, whoa." He kind of looks. He's like, "It's a bad idea to, kind of expose it to light right now. It wouldn't be good."
What kind of is it? A gremlin?
Not yet. No, it's not. No.
Smugwai.
It's fine. It's great. This is gonna be let me handle it. I got this. Kind of. He's like this obsessive focus on this thing, and he's kind of like soldering like another part to it, like as he's saying this.
Are you like lifting the shade or the wrap to do that? You like kind of holding it up and soldering?
Well, there's this like red like wire almost kind of like extending from like the wrap, and it looks like he's kind of soldering this almost this control of some sort. Like it has like buttons on it and little knobs that turn, and it almost looks like like a synthesizer almost. There's like levels on it. He's just like, yeah, you really don't want to expose that to light quite yet.
Okay.
Oh, now I really want to know what's under the blanket. Mr. Lloyd, the only reason why I am even in the science fair was because it was better than getting 2 weeks suspension for punching the hall monitor. So it's not like I'm going to win anyway. I mean, let's just be honest between you and me.
Oh, with that attitude.
Now, it's very convenient that you got hooked up with Isaac. Is there any reason why maybe you would have got hooked up with Isaac? Like, do you have dirt on somebody? Is your dad like important? like you getting Isaac is pretty much a free pass in Chem Lab. Or did you beat somebody up that like was gonna be his partner?
Wasn't Brandy secretly like a lot older than everybody else?
This is like my third time taking this class, you guys. Okay, I've got this.
Is Mr. Lloyd like just trying to pass you now? He's just trying to figure out.
It could be. Isaac might have also chose me because he knows that I will let him do all the work so he can have complete control and I can just sit back and drink. And that kind of fits Isaac because Isaac's a at least I think he's a perfectionist. He's in control. This is his thing.
Okay. So, Brandy, to give you a second of thought, basically Dirk and Bags are two knuckleheads in class, and they're walking over, and like as all this was going on, they just happen to be on both sides of the wrap. And you can see them both shaking their hands with glee as they're ready to unveil the thing to everyone. and I'm going to move over to Lucid. So think about what you want to do as they just appear with 2 hands on each side like this sheet, and they're just going to throw it off. Lucid, you're over with Percival. Percival sits down. He seems, he everything about him seems clean and orderly. He doesn't seem, offensive. If anything, he's just kind of, just being that new guy, being polite for the most part. And he sits down. He looks at you. So it's Chem Lab. So we're going to put this and this and this together and make that, right? And he's just pointing at the pages in this book. Do you know what he's talking about, or?
I mean, I pay attention. I don't excel at it, but I do try and I do pay attention. And so, I mean, if what he's pointing at isn't what the lesson is or whatever we're going over right now, or if it's something like the book is saying not to do, but he's still saying do it, I'll correct that. But otherwise, if it's on course to what we're supposed to be doing, then I'll just kind of nod, and as far as I understand it.
Okay.
So it depends on I guess the nature of what we're supposed to be doing and what it says and what he's pointing at.
Sure. So do you have any strategies that would actually help you with this science project?
That would be the eidetic memory.
Okay. So how would that help you? Is it something that you've heard it all before, or
anything I've read from any other books or other science classes, I would have it all down more or less in terms of, might not be the most creative with it, but I would know A plus B equals C in a very literally textbook manner.
Okay. Why don't you give me a roll of a reason and eidetic memory? And?
2 fails.
Oh, no successes. Any tags you want to use? Kind of help this situation out.
I think stubborn would help. Like maybe I'm thinking on it, and it's like it's. I know I can see the right combination, but I know, like, I'm just drawing a blank at the moment, and so I'm just like double down and kind of refocus again and dig in even deeper into other things I've read about it or something like that.
Sure. So which one are you going to re-roll?
I will re-roll the memory.
Okay.
Because that is the higher one, so it has the better chance of succeeding.
All right.
And
you
it
got one
succeeded.
Success. Cool. So you got a success, but there's a catch. And you know what that catch is? Your memory of this actually is coming out of your arcane arts training. What you're remembering that could help you here is the alchemy stuff that you learned. The only problem with that is it requires a little hocus pocus eventually to actually make those chemicals ignite, unlike what mundane chemistry would require. So you do understand what he's saying, and you, in your head, help work it out and go, this would work, but you have to struggle with but would you use just a little bit of the mojo to make it work? Otherwise, he's kind of doing it. He seems like ignorant of any of that. He's like, oh, okay. So it looks like we do want a little bit more of this powder. Okay. Well, then he's listening to what you say, and as you're kind of in your head trying to almost stall, like, okay, is there another way to do this? Isaac would know. And you can kind of see him over there, right by the white sheet, just the genius he is, easily going through all of this, no problem. And you see Brandy standing over there, like next to Durkin Bags, and has had no effort, no stress, no problems with the science project. Speaking of that, Jessica, so Durkin Bags, both sides, they grab both sides of the sheet like they're gonna throw it up in the air. What would you like to do?
Well, let's see. I am pretty darn good at brawling. Doesn't mean I'm actually gonna beat the hell out of them, but they might. It might.
Well,
first off,
in Power Ranger shows too, it doesn't take even the girls will judo throw them onto mats. They'll be convenient with things for you to oh, I punch him in the stomach and I push him over and he just sits in his chair holding his gut. So of course that would be Power Ranger-esque. You were also free to just be Brandy-esque and beat the shit out of him if you want to. So.
Yeah, and I have to apologize. I'm currently writing superhero stuff with my husband.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm not too unpower ranger-esque.
Don't
No.
get too creative, right?
Yes. Okay. So what does Isaac have on his desk? I mean, I know I have a pencil, but what do you have within my arm's reach?
I have 3 things.
Okay.
I have one of the socket wrenches from my Tinker set. I have what looks like an empty beaker that is not filled with any liquid or anything. And I have a thick chemistry textbook. Easily 5 to 10 pounds of paper right there.
Okay. Okay, so they're dirt in bags, right?
Yep.
Basically dirt bag, but with a K. Got it.
I didn't think about that, but yeah, exactly like that.
So
Genius. I love it.
So I'm going to kick out with my right foot to the side, and I'm going to get Bags. I'm assuming he's going to be on my right. I'm going to get Mr. Whoever's on my right, and I'm going to get him in the kneecap. And that would, of course, require me to stand up. So I would be pulling myself out this way. So at that point, I would also be taking Mr. Bags and hitting him in the head with a 5 to 10 pound textbook.
Oh, okay. So you're going to kick his legs out or kick him in the legs and then hit him over the head with the book?
Well, one is going to get legs, and the one on the left is going to get hit in the head because I'll be standing up at an angle to kick out with my right, so I might as well carry through to hit on my left.
Sounds good to me. So in your case, give me a roll. You want to find your brawling strategy, and this sounds like a reasonable use of your brawling strategy.
Okay.
You're in the classroom, been here before, dealing with these 2 hooligans who you've dealt with before. The teacher's back is turned after he told you, don't touch. He turned around to go check on Percival and to make sure that the kids all around Alistair and Percival knew about Percival and him being the new student in class. Okay. Now, one thing you can try, Jess, if you want to use, you can pull up that character sheet, and to the right of your strategy brawling, there's going to be a little die icon you could press.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
No problem. It'll be easier for you.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so we got 1 success because you want to roll under. So your succeeded. Not that we care which one succeeds and which one doesn't. So far, you're going to succeed with this, but right now there's a catch. Do you have any tags that could help you? And if so, how would they help you?
Well, let's see. I've got belligerent and I've got hold my beer.
Okay. Which one do you think would help and why?
I think hold my beer would help because it's kind of a rash, immediate move. I didn't think. I just looked around and I was like, no, if I don't get to touch it, they sure as heck don't get to touch it.
Okay.
Nobody gets to pick on my nerd but me, thank you.
Pick on my nerd. Awesome.
Aww.
Okay. Go ahead and now what you can do is you can go by the tags that are down there. You can find the one that says hold my beer, and to the right there should be a die icon. If you click that, it's going to re-roll 1 die, and we can just imagine that that's your soul skill.
Would that be... It looks like it's up on the left.
Oh, that's probably what it is.
Okay. Let's see.
Rerolls a 6, which is awesome because I just love that it mentions it too. Rerolls a 6 using their hold my beer tag. Now that's even Steven, so you have to get under to succeed. So you got 1 success. So you were going to hit these 2 to make sure that they weren't going to lift the sheet up, right? So you're going to successfully hit the 2, but what do we think happens? We could knock the sheet over, or maybe we could hit someone else as well, or we could hit them, get caught, and probably go to something like detention, or...
I hit the guy with the book, so... Mercy of this.
Is she cutting in and out for anybody else?
Yeah. Say it one more time.
Her camera's spiraling. I think might have lost the signal.
Okay. Well, if so, we will when she comes back, we will know we're in a cliffhanger. No.
Stand by.
I'm struggling. I see her again.
Yeah, say it one more time. You swing that book and you... I see you.
I hear her typing now.
Yeah.
I wait in anticipation.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right? Tell me.
Hold on.
That's okay.
I'm gonna move my internet thing. Be right back.
Sure. Okay.
Awesome.
So, Lucid, you're over there. The project's going pretty well. He looks at you. So where did you learn all this anyway? This is Percival talking.
Ooh.
Oh, I just have a really good memory. So whenever I read for my assignments, I can usually recall it pretty spot on.
Have you always been able to do that? He's like just mixing kind of the compounds and moving some papers on the table.
As far back as I can remember, which is, about when I was 3. So
You feel a little bit of a weird sort of gust of wind sensation that you're familiar with, which is when your negative counterpart seems to kind of unleash itself from your body and kind of untwine its soul with yours and pop out in this sort of like ethereal form and hang out above you.
I totally forgot about Neg Alistair.
As it withdraws from your body, there is this sort of like tightening of your body. It's just kind of like, it's just an uncomfortable feeling, but you're kind of used to it. It just kind of makes you stop breathing for a second, almost like the air is pulled out of you. But you know what it is immediately. And you can hear him. I'm going to say him, unless you want it to be a her. Or
either one.
Okay.
Maybe it shifts. I mean, whatever.
And for now, only you can see him as far as you know. But sometimes he can make others see him as well. It's kind of like a ghostly thing, right? Maybe it takes more power or juice. You don't really talk to him about that. Usually he's just negative and kind of a dick. So right. He kind of does this sort of slithery motion of kind of swinging around your neck and your head, and you can barely feel it. It's more like this kind of air that kind of goes across the back of your neck and like lifts the little hairs up. And why is he so interested with you? This Percival. Have you ever met anyone named Percival? It's a fanciful name, if I would say so myself. So he just kind of like smokes around you.
And I just act like I have no acknowledgement of its presence. Completely ignoring what he's saying. And
Percival looks up to you. Did you say something?
Just that I had a long-term, very good memory.
Okay. Jess, how are you doing?
I think I'm back on. Am I cutting out again?
Audio's very rough, and video's pretty blurry too.
You sound. Yeah. I mean, you sound. I can understand you though. So, you hit that kid with the book. You flip those feet up, but there's a catch.
I'm gonna
I couldn't make that out.
Oh. I feel bad. It happens to everyone. It just sucks when it happens, and like you feel like the worst person ever.
We had a horrible storm earlier. I was hoping like it passed, so my stuff didn't go out.
Yeah. Okay. So.
All right. Is that any better?
Much better.
Okay.
Okay. There we go.
Hot dog.
Okay.
Hey, we were just saying, Jessica, it happens to everyone.
So sorry.
It sucks so bad when it does. Like, don't feel, bad. Like, it just happens. Like
next week, my husband has Tuesday off, something 4th of July, I don't know. But, excuse me, he doesn't have to wake up at 3 a.m. on Tuesday. So I'll be in our room where our monitor, photo art is, as opposed to I'm on the second story underneath a steel metal thing that's blocking it, and it's stupid.
Oh, I
But
guess.
anyway,
Yeah.
so I will totally take like detention or. Initially, I had said that the book hit the guy, and he ended up hitting into our new Percival, but it was broken out. And now we've had Percival and Alistair have gone from there. So we'll just say that I end up getting like stupid detention, or I get disqualified from the grade,
Well,
or something like that.
What's very fitting, because we need to move from the teenage scene anyway, is you, like you said, you hit you hit the kid, you with the feet flip up, hit the next kid with the book, but the book goes flying. And just as Percival was talking to Alistair a minute ago, this book, like, Chem Lab book, just starts. It's actually robotics. It's probably one of Isaac's books, honestly, because he grabbed it out of his stack, and it just flips. And unfortunately, like some like notes or like photos fall out of it as it just spirals through the air. And as it should hit Percival in the back of the head, he turns like with some hyper reflexes and snatches it out of the air. What? And then he slowly puts it down in front of him and goes, "Well, that was close." Like it was totally normal.
That's not suspicious.
Okay, so kind of as we montage what happens there. Of course, Mr. Lloyd is like, "Brandy, go to the office." And Dirk, Bags, get away from that. Well, you know what? You two, go to the office too. What are you even doing in my class? And he kind of shoos them out after you, assuming that you're responsible enough to go by yourself, which, like you said, leads to detention.
Yes.
And a principal that's all too familiar with you, and then those two. Which you will be in normal company in detention, just the three of you, like almost every other day.
Got my seat. I carved my name in the desk. Get up. Thank you.
Pedro, is there anything you want to do with Isaac in the aftermath of this before we move on?
I feel so bad. Like, it happened. I was like, kind of looking up confused because I'm so involved in putting the finishing touches on this project. I'm like, well, I wonder why Brandy's getting, oh my gosh, sweet cherries. And then just, and then I'm like when the book goes flying, I'm like, my notes. And then his cat, and I'm like, as he catches it, I'm like, I should pick that up.
Yeah.
I try to explain, I go like, hey, they were trying to mess with my science project. I try to talk to, like, I think we said Mr. Lloyd, right?
Mr. Lloyd, yeah.
And I'm like, Mr. Lloyd, I know Brandy kind of got a little rough, but, my project is very delicate. She was only trying to help me out.
So the scene kind of fades to black, right? You're pleading with Mr. Lloyd. Brandy goes off to detention. Lucid, is there anything Alistair does? And you do have Isaac's book, if you would return it, or if he comes to get it from Percival, or.
Yeah, it was his own personal notebook, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the two of you know each other because obviously you've seen, you talked, you said he inspires your mundane, he's your mundane inspiration. Right. So when the book lands in front of you, like, I don't know if it's got his name on it or something, or you've clearly seen it before, for sure it's his.
Yeah, I'd probably oops, it landed open. And kind of read some of it a little bit.
Oh, great. Nice.
Before, not like page after page after page, but just a little bit before closing it, and gonna go return this to Percival. And
last but not least, when Percival grabbed the book out of the air, he knocked over some beaker of powder that spilled onto the floor, and basically it's the end of class. So whatever your science project so far was just like all your work this hour was wasted, as it just kind of is laying on the ground, and you hear the bell ring, and Isaac is walking over with his book, pleading with Mr. Lloyd, and sometime not too far later, Isaac, how and when would you check the mega board?
Come again? Mega.
When would you check the mega board, and how do you check the mega board?
So, since mega board is something a lot of people on, in between class periods, occasionally I will sprint to the library and like try to find this empty computer, and I look around, because everything's schoolwork here, but I've actually have a computer now that I've taken down like all the pesky firewalls and security things, and of course it saved all my cookies, so I can just log in really quick, check any updates, reply to any arguments, because winning internet arguments, very important. And also kind of updating it to let people know, hey, I'm finishing up that big science project I've been talking about, and I can't wait to give it another test. And kind of like almost foreshadowing, that this is kind of tied to like the mega board, and I've been, kind of posting updates with it. It's like on its own like mega thread. Is what they're called when it's like a sticky forum post, and I have like pictures with it too, and I just can't wait to actually activate the thing.
And when you say activate the thing, you mean the science project?
Oh yes.
Okay. Now the mega board itself, what's the origin of it? Is it just like something on the internet? Is it like a local school bulletin board? Is it something that you created?
It is. No one really knows where the servers are at. It popped up, first when, sort of more, heroic activities started becoming more and more commonplace. It became sort of like, it started off as sort of like a conspiracy board with like sort of like these almost Bigfoot kind of pictures, and then like footage, and then after that, once the kind of heroics of our world became more and more established, it became sort of this place where you could find sort of like behind the scenes stuff. It became a lot more legitimate. It's like a big fan site almost, talking about some of the maybe more marginalized aspects of the world that you don't really see about. So you might find something like, hey, are aliens out there, and what do they want from us? Or to, AI, is it really as dangerous, or is it your little buddy? Like subjects like that. Or someone who like will find like, oh man, this fell off of that big thing that was raging downtown. Look, it's a picture of, like this like communicator watch, or like, potentially dangerous object. We don't know. We just want the internet points when it comes to.
So speaking of that, you get a message that comes through, and it is from Tom Berry.
I check my message, of course, after giving the password to let him know that it is in fact myself.
Okay, so you give him the password. In the meantime of giving him the password, the mega board seems to start fizzling, like glitching out, like some of the background starts getting kind of like fuzzy and messed up. Some of the words start failing. It looks like it's about to like your monitor's gonna like power out, and then it like flickers as you're getting the message. So what strategy do you have to kind of get the most of this message that is otherwise going to be piecemeal?
Wow, this is weird. That's almost impossible. The server's backed up. I wonder. Let me get my VPN going 1 sec. And what I do is I think maybe it is a connectivity issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I check my connection, and if it looks like it's good, it may not be a local problem. I'm going to see if I could go around and sort of log into the network in a more direct way to kind of pick up that message. So I'm going to use my strategy. I'm going to deconstruct this system.
Ooh, okay.
And attempt to, again, interface with Tomberry in a more direct manner, maybe through an alternative channel of some sort.
I'm going to say it's imagine, given the limited time nature that you have.
Sure. And I just rolled deconstruct, correct?
Yep. Hit that, and it'll prompt you to be like, imagine a reason.
Imagine. Submit. Beep. Wow. Super imagine.
And how'd we do? We got a 1 and an 8. So, any tags that could help you?
Yes, I happen to be a self-taught genius, and nobody quite knows how to deconstruct a computer like myself. All right. And I just clicked the self-taught genius, correct?
Yep. And
didn't work out.
So you succeed, but there's a catch. So as you're trying to take this back channel and get to Tomberry more directly, well, what does Tomberry look like if you saw him in person?
Tomberry is a little, almost ball-like structure. It has like sort of like a large central interface where I keep most of the like hardware, but underneath is sort of like little propeller legs that kind of push it through the air.
Yeah.
So it does hover around, and it has like these two like little, like almost dots, almost like a big camera that kind of like focuses in and out.
Yeah.
And of course, like little blinking lights there because kind of like maybe Kid or Alpha, where it just has a light that just do.
Sure. Yeah. Like the visor that with the glowing bead. Yeah, we gotcha. Okay, so for a moment there, you see an actual picture of him as if it was like a video conference, and like the words that are coming out of his mouth, you're not getting every word, and you get a message that comes across as something like this. Mesmero has returned, and it's not his voice. It's actually Monitor's voice that's just being transferred through. And for those watching, last time we talked about how we were naming our Zordon after Monitor, who was one of the people who was watching and giving us input last game. So you hear Monitor's voice being transferred through Tomberry, and it says, Mesmero has returned. Hooray for Monitor! And then it's just garbled, like static. The Lost, before they... and then the thing just crashes. You've lost signal of Tomberry. Last you knew, Tomberry should be at basically the HQ. It's also, obviously, you're smart enough, as you are what kind of genius?
I am a self-taught genius. Completely self-taught.
As a self-taught genius, you are also able to put together that. Wait, why didn't Monitor just talk to me directly? He can interact with the megaboard. Something must be wrong. He mentioned Mesmero. Do you have any strategies to help you know who Mesmero is?
I do. I'm obsessive with strategies. I'm sorry. Mesmero. Deconstruct, imagine.
Because if you don't, you do know, Alistair seems to know all about all of these personalities.
Hey, Pete, I don't know if you want to adjust the OBS a little bit.
I know, I was thinking about that.
I don't have any strategies that would immediately kind of garner that information. So I'm going to be like, oh, Alistair knows a lot about these people. I gotta go tell him. And I like log off, turn off all my things, and then just like kind of sprint out of the library in between classes, trying to find Alistair.
Okay. And so Isaac, you have no problem finding Alistair. You can run into him wherever you want. Alistair, where would you be after school? Like 5 minutes, 10 minutes after school, like right after.
5 or 10. Maybe still in my locker.
Okay. Pedro, you find Alistair at his locker.
Immediately, like you see Isaac just kind of like go across the corner, and he's kind of like running So he's like running, and then he kind of like skids across the floor, like, and just kind of catches himself on the ground, and then just kind of like runs towards you.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Alistair, I need a little bit of your input right now. It's an emergency.
What's going on?
He looks around. He's like, seeing if anybody is kind of saying, I know you know a little bit about Larry's personalities. I was wondering, do you know a individual named Mesmero?
So I guess question. At this point, are we already Rangers?
You are.
Okay. So Mesmero.
When he says the words, it takes a minute to come to you, but basically Mesmero has hypnotic powers, and he is known for being able to make people or things lose their memories. He is someone that basically Monitor has spoken about in the past, so he has been a villain that your set of Rangers has never dealt with.
To kind of convey that back to him, kind of hush hush, and just really, really bad news from what I can recall.
Oh, hypnotism, controlling? Is there anything we can do? I mean, I can make some tinfoil hats, or maybe we can wear sunglasses or something. Block out the psychic rays.
I don't know if... I don't think the tinfoil actually works. I can't say I've encountered a lot of psychics myself. If we do, we're wearing it under a regular hat. I'm not walking around with a tinfoil hat on. Just
Right,
I'm not.
Well, I suppose. And I could wire something maybe. Well, Colander actually might. Wait. I'm sorry. I'm getting beside myself. HQ, Monitor. Got a message. Tonberry. He said something about Mesmero. Maybe it'd be prudent to go to HQ right now. I don't know why the message was garbled. I think we should head there as quick as possible.
That does sound like the best thing to do right now. That shouldn't have been garbled if everything's okay.
I know. I put those systems in myself.
I can't imagine it's a good thing.
Okay, with that, we montage to where do you go, right? It sounds like Tom Barry's in trouble. It sounds like Monitor's in trouble. There is an issue.
Whoa.
And you are also missing your third ranger, who is currently stuck in detention.
Maybe we should sneak Brandy out?
Have to cause a distraction.
Leave it to me.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right. Where is Brandy being held?
She is in, let's see, we need a principal's name or a vice principal. What's a good vice principal's name?
Vice Principal Killjoy.
I approve.
I'm sure everyone just loves that guy.
So now I have downloaded Skype onto my phone, and I've gone on to 4G since my internet is going to be a pain. So sorry that at least here we are.
Phone.
Yes, so I've got it balanced on a party hat, by the way. So
Yeah, nice.
Dedication.
Yeah,
Dedication to the role.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
So yes, I would be, and I'm the best at making excuses. So whether or not that actually gets me where I'm going or not, I had lots of excuses.
So you may even be able to use your excuses to not have really gotten to detention yet, so that they could find you in basically in passing. Or if you want to, of course you have the options of trying to get out of detention, as they are very likely to come try to find you, and you may see them in the windows or the little hole in the door, or or I don't know, maybe you have cell phones. Maybe you're just gonna text her and be like, "We need to get you out. It's morphin time." Like,
Who?
I would like to be by like the window, and I'm like trying to see. I'm like is she around? And I'm like trying. If she sees me, I'm like trying to mouth.
Ichabod?
Ichabod, yeah, you still don't know who that is, yeah.
We gotta get out of here. I'm gonna cause a distraction. I hold up a car battery and a rubber chicken, like trying to let her know, like, just like nodding, like.
I raise my hand to get Vice Principal Killjoy's attention.
Sorry, let me make sure I write that down. VP Killjoy. So I imagine he's like straight up the guy out of Breakfast Club. You know, like he's got like a cheap gray suit, nothing fancy, you know, gray hair, well manicured, thinks that he is the next president. You know, like, I'm sorry, principal, is all by the book. He walks over to you. What is it? Can't you see I'm trying to prep for the next test?
I need to go.
Of course you need to go. Go to the bathroom, go home, but you're stuck here because you're in detention.
It's girl stuff. It's Mincy's. Do you know what that is? Here, let me explain it to you. And then she like starts like loudly explaining that whole time of the month, watching his skin crawl, watch him getting like. So unless you really want to call the janitor in to clean up, I need to go.
What strategy would help you?
Making excuses.
Let's go for it. Sounds like a reasonable use because you've probably had to give him excuses many times.
Mm-hmm. And that's just something that automatically makes people uncomfortable. Imagine or reason. Imagine or reason.
Reason.
Reason. I'm not very good at that.
Okay. Any text that can help you?
Belligerent. Hustler.
Yeah, you need no explanation for you trying to hustle him right now. You're kind of fast talking. You're like, well, I mean, I could do it right here on the ground if you need me to, you know.
Yeah, I won't do it in the Twitch, but yeah, she's basically just going all out to make him as grossed out and uncomfortable as possible.
Meanwhile, Isaac, you have a what in the window?
I'm like trying to signal like I'm gonna cause a distraction, and I'm just holding up like a rubber chicken and a car battery, and I like go down, and then I point to, like there's some like water hose too, and I'm just like nodding, and I like just kind of duck down again.
Lucy, what are you doing? As you hear this conversation just being like ridiculous inside, you see him holding up miscellaneous bad things to stick together. You don't know if he's like. Is this some kind of a bomb? Yeah, by the way, a car battery is really heavy, too. So, like, he's pretty strong as he's holding all three. He's got, like, the hose, the car battery.
It's like one thing after another. I'm like...
Rubber
It looks like a whole bunch of bad decision-making, and I know bad decision-making.
This is like I got, like, 2 maracas. I'm like, yeah.
Lucy, what's Alistair doing while this is going on?
He's just kind of dumbfounded, I think. Like, he knows that Isaac is very good at, like, MacGyvering type stuff and all that, but the amount of belongings he's carrying with him, because we were at my locker, and we never stopped by his locker, yet he has all of this stuff on him somehow.
Got, like, a military-grade backpack.
Well, that would be even funnier. Do you even have a backpack on you?
She's just pulling it out like a cartoon.
You're like,
where's this coming from? You're
like outside next to the dumpster where like the machine shop or like the shop classes leave stuff that for some reason had a rubber chicken. like otherwise,
no, that's from my personal stash.
Oh, you had the rubber chicken.
I pictured you standing like in the hallway or something like that, basically, like not anywhere near anything, and he's just pulling all this stuff up from nowhere almost. Like,
okay. So as this is going on, Jesse, you got your roll, so you had a success with the catch. So he's gonna let you out, right? But what could be a good catch? How about
I have to come back tomorrow.
I don't mind that, but I like that since these guys are causing a scene. You're off the hook, kinda, but he's on to them, right? So you basically you have this excuse. He's like, "Fine, get out of here. You should be back in." And by the time you're even by the door, you know, like you've raced out of here, and he didn't even finish his sentence yet about when you need to be back. Pedro, so he looks at the window and he points at you, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And the window's shut. So like remember, because you're on the side like making these signs, but she can't hear you. So he points at you, and you can read his lips of like, "What are you doing?" But it starts
Wave the
storming
chicken
towards
at
you.
him.
I stare at him. I kind of open my eyes, and like I just lift up like a little like window wiper, and I'm just like, "Ee!" Ee! And I slowly just kind of walk away.
Okay. So later, right? The three of you, I assume, are going to head to the headquarters, which you probably
Yes.
have your changers, right? That you can use to basically zip you over there. And we can save that for when it's really cool to do instead of right now when it's like a montage. So the three of you can zip on over. You don't have to be fully suited unless you want to, but you would be at your headquarters, which it wouldn't be right for me to just tell you what it looks like. What does our headquarters look like? As we were talking about, like our tarot-inspired sort of like Southern charm, New Orleans feel. Is it like some old kind of manor? Is it like some underground like speakeasy, like rough sort of like brick place? Is it something that's like, is it a fortress in the water where like the water opens up? Like it's just in the Gulf or something?
One of those old hidden bars from back from the Prohibition.
Yeah, or cemetery, like.
Ooh, a mausoleum.
That could be good.
Like,
we
at least
can
that's how we get to it. We have to go down, like, open up the casket type thing, whatever that thing is, and go down the stairs into the mausoleum.
Don't mind me.
So there's not actually a dead body in there anymore.
Not that one.
Anymore.
Thanks.
We took care of that when we moved in.
Smoke came from somewhere.
We keep him downstairs now. He's our mascot. No, kidding.
Oh, gosh.
So the three of you, basically as we fast forward through that, zip on over there, go to the mausoleum. I don't know if there's the head you twist or if the changers just have the casket door slide open. But the three of you walk, I imagine you walk into this like mausoleum, the door's shut, and if you're outside, you see these like flashing colored lights that kind of come out of the windows. The three of you find yourself in basically the inner sanctum, we'll call it for now, where a monitor would be present, where Tom Barry would be if he's not with Pedro. So the two of them are here. You have other functions than the inner sanctum, but that's where you're at currently. And you can see like static on a TV that basically most of the screens, there's an orb, which is like the globe that he uses, and all of the ways that you usually interact and see monitor through, whether it's the one tube or a multitude of like technological gadgets, all seem to be sort of fried. Tom Barry is laying on the ground, and as if he was human, he's got one hand in the air and he is moaning, saying something like, "Is this what it feels like to be dead?
Tom Barry!
I'm dying.
No!
Still dying." He's obviously getting melodramatic because he physically actually can't die, and he has not actually been damaged.
Oh, I go up to him and I look, and I'm just kind of like going through, I'm like running diagnostics on him. What happened, little buddy?
He
Speak to me.
He looks to you. Something messed with the machines. The monitor's busted. Monitor doesn't know what happened. Monitor doesn't know anything. And then you hear through him, basically, you hear Monitor's voice, which is, "I know things. I know all about this place and these teenagers. I just don't know why we're all here. I don't know which Rangers you are. I don't know." And he obviously, in a state that you've never heard before, and you can't visibly see him anywhere, but he's still here. Right now, the only thing he can talk through is Tom Barry, though.
Okay.
Your diagnostics show that Tom Barry is, it would seem, basically that he came in here, and when he came in here and tried to speak with Monitor, most of the gadgetry was already malfunctioning. He got like the last message of Monitor speaking, which brought him here, which was whatever he regurgitated to you earlier, which sounded something like, Mesmero has returned. The lost before. So Monitor knew whatever happened was because of Mesmero, and he knew who it was, but he no longer does because Mesmero does these things to people, places, and things. Alistair, it's a good time. So Mesmero, in your head, he has this giant like staff that has basically like all of these little dangling objects, and he can basically spin his staff in a spiral and hypnotize folks, or he can lullaby you to sleep by just rocking his staff. So Mesmero uses some form of like this, basically this magic staff, but his powers are magical.
Okay.
So what am I telling the players? Is I'm telling them that Mesmero was here, he caused a whole lot of problems, and he's gone. And he left Monitor in a bad state, unable to help.
You kind of turn to Isaac, and are you able to recover anything?
I can look over the data banks, but there's a lot of weird stuff Mesmero did. I know you're better at the juju stuff than me, but I'll see what I can do. Let me check the systems. So I'm going to look and see if there's any like security, any like idea of where maybe Mesmero is.
Sure.
Anything that sort of this headquarters of ours could have told us to give us clues exactly what happened, to kind of get that information.
In about 5 minutes of digging, you will find the answer. But meanwhile, Brandy, what are you doing here? You see a whole bunch of sort of like nothing looks physically busted. It's just all of the like tech, for lack of a better word, is just all kind of like staticky and inoperable. And it's dark in here, except for like emergency lighting along the floor. And Tom Berry, other than physically being helped up, doesn't really seem to be as useful as normal. But Isaac is like basically opened his back panel and is like using diagnostics and like with his like manually going through it, learning stuff. So that's kind of what's going on around you.
Well, I look for my secret stash of liquor to make certain that nothing has happened to it.
Nothing was physically busted. So you walk over to where and you find what?
I walk over to...
Maybe if we're down in like a mausoleum type of thing, one of the grave markers or something like that is hiding, like you move it aside,
Yeah.
Inside of it is your liquor.
Yes, and complete with like a skull, and his name is Ned. I don't know what his real name was, but there's still like remains in there, and he keeps my liquor, and I'm like, thank you, Ned. I open it up, and I drink, and I look around.
You imbibe the liquor, and you, with a fresh perspective, take a look around. As you do, you see something towards like the... Okay, so you have Ned's... You said, was it a skull, right?
Yeah.
So, for some reason, the thought of like taking this drink, and you're kind of like, thanks, Ned, you always got my back, at least I still got my booze. And as you do, you kind of look over to where you first found Ned's skull, which is like by this casket thing that it didn't have the rest of the skeleton. And it looks like the lid is like slightly ajar. And there seems to be like a wetness that kind of glimmers just for whatever reason you're looking. You just happen to see a little sparkle as the little liquid that shouldn't be there. It just has a sparkle in the light that's coming off of Isaac kind of programming and working on the back of Tom Berry.
Like, hey, someone has been messing with Ned's other bed.
Other bed.
I go walking. I put bottle in hand, skull under my arm, and I go stomping over to the casket, and I look at it, and I push it open some more.
Okay, Alistair, what are you doing while this is happening?
I've got my hand in my pocket, and I'm begrudgingly getting ready to pull my phone out for whatever sort of mystic shenanigans I'll have to get up to with my spells and everything else to, if it goes that way, which it's looking like it's going to because
Your
of
phone
Mesmero.
has your spell database on it.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
So it's worth mentioning too. You can't really get anything valuable out of Monitor right now, but you can speak to Monitor if anybody wants to do that. He can speak through Tomberry, and with enough time, Isaac could also probably start to make some of these. Probably fix the lab for the sake of explaining. Like he could probably make everything better here with enough time. But I mean, we're talking like a day or two, not like 5 minutes.
Right. Just, kind of walk over to Tomberry and just Monitor. Do you remember anything about Mesmero?
Interesting. Why don't you use Imagine Arcane Arts and see if the power of words in a spellcaster seems to ignite his thoughts.
Should we burn some sage?
Wow, that's really good. Okay, so you say that Mesmero, he can make you forget. And he's, which is clearly what happened to him.
Yes, is that all you remember? Like who stopped him before? How? You don't remember anything?
I would always. I don't remember. What do I do when I don't know? And when you think to yourself, I know what he does. He accesses the Akashic records. That's like why he is all-knowing. Why his power is that he's stuck here, but he can't physically do jack. But he can access like this infinite wealth of information if need be. He just doesn't remember how. Which of course also makes 2 and 2 kind of come together in your head of like, is that why Mesmero came? Because he didn't come for you folks, did he? Or he didn't come for you yet.
Right. I kind of turn to the others and begrudgingly pull my phone out and unlock it and load up the app and just...
Load up the app, awesome.
I think we're going to have to, or I'm going to have to go to the spiritual plane.
Me too. Takes another drink.
Monitor mentioned the records. Oh, you. Isn't that dangerous, Alistair?
It is, especially since I don't have a full understanding of it. But hopefully our connection to the morphing grid will help keep us safe.
Well, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Is there a way for us to get there from here?
No, I can get us there.
Well, okay then. There's no use thinking about it. Let's do it. We got to get Monitor in a better way, or at the very least find out what happened here.
Yeah. And that'll do it. That'll do it. All right. So pull it out. I'm flipping through the pages of it, and I find the transport spell to kind of get us there, and look at it, and all right. And channel some of my magic energy to like my hand and start drawing in the sky with like the energy, and it kind of creates like that after image type of thing, like when you spin like sparklers really fast type of thing.
Oh.
As I draw like a Kabbalah tree basically, and connect it around and put little markers on it for us and the path we need to go through the plains to get to where we need to go, and hoping this works right because I've never done it before and I'm not really trained for this. I just know how to do it.
I have faith in you.
That's good. Somebody does.
Speaking of that, Brandy, so you walked over and you went and checked what the glimmering light was?
Yes.
The watery...
I flat out opened up the... I opened up the casket.
Okay, when you open the casket, you see inside what looks to be like a sort of like goo, like an ooze that's within. And basically, like it's kind of like a coffin. And on the top side of the coffin, there are these strange markings that still seem left within.
Markings is in claw marks, or markings is in
Like
sigils or something.
Yeah, like sigils and like runes sort of things that are kind of drawn to this lid. Meanwhile, as Alistair is over there also kind of like forming this stuff in the air, so you can kind of put two in together as you look at both. They don't look the same, but they look similar.
Hey, okay, the gooey stuff is not me, I swear, not this time. But there's some magic stuff. It looks like dirt, but not. Yeah, magic. Look, and I like try to like move the thing to show him whether or not in his state he even can see or acknowledge. But I'm all like, look, see, totally twinsies, but not.
Yeah, it kind of like pause in mid, sigil, and
do you have to like move like with your arms still in place? Like you have to like.
Yeah, I'm just kind of holding it where I left it, and
I'm sure at this point they're probably used to her stupid interruptions and whatever, but still.
Yeah, so then kind of try to look over and see and what she's pointing at and everything. And
Okay, when you go over there, it looks like something else also transported itself to a similar place, as you can kind of see in the markings, but with a lot of power that was self-contained within like a closed casket. So something put itself in there, and that ooze that's in there is like the residue of their transfer. So it's kind of like they left this place and like this ooze kind of replaced where they were, which is just kind of like a little bit of that mass being shared between these two planes. So something fully, like you're kind of looking at it from what I can tell, almost like kind of astrally projecting. But this was like someone actually powered through and took their whole self into this place. Which gives you the idea that you could probably do the same if you could just channel enough power. It's something you never really thought about, and it does definitely smell like probably what happened to Mesmero.
Ugh.
So
Or
this
something's
wasn't
gone.
here before.
What is it, Alistair?
it's residual Ethereum. It's a byproduct of magical translocation.
Is that normal?
There's a lot in there, Isaac. Like you could like stick a spoon in
slime.
and twist, and it's like a pool, like of like 4 inches high in this casket.
So like, what
Do you have jumper cables?
does it taste like?
I do.
And do you have like a I don't know metal rod or something we can stick in there?
Alistair.
I know. Of course you do. I don't know where you keep it all, but of course you do.
How many inches do you need?
It just needs to get in there, and then attach the cables to one end of the rod. We'll attach the other end of the jumper cables to my hand. This is gonna hurt. If it even works, I might die, guys. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I might be dead in a few minutes.
I was gonna say, this looks like a high voltage, Alistair.
Yeah, it's not gonna be pleasant, but we gotta get there.
Okay. Where should I attach them?
Stick the rod in there. Put the negative end on the rod.
Jessica, where you're standing, like parts of both of their bodies are like obstructed by like things that are just like, whether it's like mausoleum statues and like the technological like sort of like kiosks that command things. So the language they're using is pretty funny because you can't see all of both of their bodies.
How many inches do you need? Where do you want me to put it?
Yes. As then Isaac's head disappears as he bends down, and then he comes back up, and you see Alistair being like, "No,
just stick it in there."
I take out my cell phone. I'm like, if you guys keep it up, I'm filming this.
Careful for the clamps.
Yeah. I'll kind of hold up my hand and go on. Let's do this.
All right. Do we have to hold hands or?
I have no idea.
Okay, so we're gonna make a small challenge out of this.
Before you
See
got
if
to this
the
point,
three of you can put this together. Let's see if we can't just make this. Oh yeah, I got the thing online. So a quick little challenge of this. Let's see if we can do. Let's move this over here. Do that. Let's make sure you can see it. And that. And oops. Thought I moved it. I almost moved it. Okay, and let's see how it looks. Oh, not bad. Okay, so on the challenges, we want to see if you can transport us to this alternate place, right? And with that, I'm going to say we need to find a little text thingy. So, got that size up to 40. I like contrail. How about, we're going to say the challenge here is, right, like you should be able to do this, but he used a lot of force that you're not used to using. So if you could figure it out from what you saw, we're going to say that's about a 4 mind. Because you are an arcane artist. We're going to say body of the challenge. I can't really think of how that would help, but I could be wrong. So we're going to give that a 6. In case you figure out some smart way of using your bodies to make this work. Like being a physical conduit, maybe? I don't Spirit, right? I do think there's a little bit of a struggle, because what we're kind of dealing with in the back side of this is that, like, Lucid's character doesn't really like dabbling in the arcane arts. And this is like, okay, well, we have to. And I'm the only one who can do this. But, like, this is even maybe beyond my ability. So I think trying to, like, convince yourself or get motivation to do it, that would be probably the hardest. So I'm going to give that, like, a 7. So you can kind of figure it out without having to will yourself. You might be a little better at it. The problems here are, it needs a lot of juice. A lot of juice. Other problems are that the arcane arts themselves are a problem because, like we said, Alistair is not very interested in using them to their full abilities. And third thing is probably, let's just say Mesmero, in the way that we don't know if he has done anything to cause us any problems on our path, because he obviously would have known there would be rangers. So we were talking about, I believe, Lucid casting a spell. I think we could start that incantation first. So why don't we give you a roll? Arcane Arts, I think, right?
Yep.
Probably Reason, like for you to initially start this thing, because like we kind of go through the steps. You could even use Eidetic Memory if that's something you prefer.
I'll go with the Arcane Arts. Yeah. Ouch.
Okay. I won't challenge you to get at least a success. So, you have any tags that could help you?
I think being mystically infused would go a long way in this one. I think it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yes, it is.
So, we'll say it goes with Arcane Arts.
Okay.
It's another negative.
Okay. No successes. So, I think this is setting up the ritual is probably a mind thing, but it's up to you of what you want to target as long as I agree. So, was this a motivational issue, or was this like you thought you knew what you're doing, but you didn't?
Are you having performance issues?
Yeah. I think it'd probably be more spirit oriented in the sense of like just because it'd be a little bit more demoralizing even.
Sure.
It's like I already don't want to do this and now I'm failing at it.
Well, so when you have no successes, of course, you could buy your way out of this if you want to spend the belief. Otherwise, I'm going to slap you with a negative tag, and you're going to take 2 points to your spirit.
No.
I'll buy it then because we need to get this going, and I can't afford that already.
It's my job to try to give you these negative tags to deal with the whole game. All right, so buying your way through it spends 2 belief out of your 4, so you're down to 2. You don't lose any abilities because you still have enough to do everything you could have before. That gives you 2 successes against the spirit of the thing. So that spirit's going to go from 7 to 5. And you can remove one of the tags or add something that might help the others.
Well, at that point, I think removing arcane arts, like I kind of got past that part of it.
So tell us what changed. How did you believing in yourself or the way the world worked help Alistair in this situation? The juice wasn't there. The spell wasn't working. You weren't confident what you're doing. What flipped the switch?
I think ultimately it's less about even the way the world works or anything to do with myself, and as much as just really thinking about the fact that this is a huge moment that has to be done. We have to figure out what happened. We have to stop Mesmero. We have to save Monitor. We have to do all these things. Throw on to the fact that I guess, if Mesmero is in the Akashic Records, that's bad for everybody.
Yeah. Because he's going to know all about you and everything you're doing right now if he's there.
Right.
And he's going to know you're coming. He's going to know why. Okay. All right.
And I'm not picturing like any chanting going on or anything like that. It's mostly, like I said, like the energy manipulation in the air type of stuff in my mind, how this is going. Not like any actual magic words or anything, at least not for this particular one.
Okay. So what does it look like to the audience?
I think it's kind of like what I described before, with the same kind of sparkler type effect in the air, but like it was like kind of fading, like it wasn't sticking as I drew the tree of life and the path that we needed to take and all that sort of thing. And then just as I kind of refocused, and all of a sudden it started kind of lasting longer, and as the images connected between the roads, between each of the spheres as it goes, and they get a little bit stronger, but there's still a lot of work to do on the matter.
Okay. The three of you all feel this sort of thing that I was kind of describing to Alistair earlier. This weird sort of pull, almost like your soul is kind of being pulled a little bit out of your body, which is this like you can't breathe for a second, as like all the air kind of sucks out of your body. And it feels kind of weird, but it's like a tug. It's not like it didn't fully happen. It just is weird, sort of uncomfortable, but almost like you levitated for a second. As the spell is like starting to like lay hold to the area in the three of you, but like isn't actually you started the car, but you haven't drove it down the road yet. So, Isaac or Brandy, do you have something that you think would help get the spell going? Something that might actually make the spell easier? Something that could improve on the situation of getting there, that maybe could make him feel more confident? Anything that comes to mind for either of you?
I'm really good at giving bad advice, so I think if I want him to feel more confident, then obviously I'm going to start being like, you know what, you really need this. Take a shot of this, it'll loosen you up. We'll be going to the astral or ethereal or airplane, no time.
Astro airplane.
Astro airplane. Yeah, I got to write that one down. That's good for later.
Astral ethereal airplane. But I'm skilled at giving bad advice, so there's a chance that I might actually be able to convince him of this.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's
and
probably...
it could help.
I feel...
But alcohol is almost always bad advice.
Lisa, do you think this is reasonable for her, or is this kind of a stretch that this would help?
I mean, in her mind, I think it's reasonable. In reality, it's imaginative.
All right, let's make
it depends on how you want to go.
Let's go with imagine then. So just roll imagine and bad advice.
All right.
Okay, 2 successes. So the good and the bad of that, right, is 2 successes, yay! The bad is maybe 2 that I can challenge. So this needs a lot of juice. And the chances of you giving this bad advice that's going to deter him for a moment to make him drink, there's a possibility that it might make a human conduit. But there's also a good chance it just kind of stalls and makes him kind of not channel as much, which he needs to channel more. So in your case, roll it again and see if you keep both of them.
Okay.
As I watch in anticipation. You kept 1. So, do you have any tags that could help you? That could help make this bad advice actually help him more? Or that could help the drink actually help give him more juice?
Well, I mean, I have alcoholic, but that's not really a... That just means I think that more affects me. But I do have hustler.
Oh, okay. What do you say? How does this encourage him?
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Or I should ask, how does it not encourage him?
How does it not encourage him? I'm like a bad after-school special. I'm like, come on, man. This will make you cool. It's kind of like what tequila tells you. You can dance. Your ex wants to hear from you.
So
it sounds like, I mean, it's just really heavy-handed. It sounds bad. He knows it's bad.
Okay. So what happens since you got a success, but with a catch, you both take 1 point to spirit.
Sorry.
Well, not both of you, the challenge and you. So you had some success, right? So you give him the drink. Lucy, what happens? Alistair, you hear this? She puts the drink in your hand as you're like trying to actually physically channel energy out. It sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, you also do know she's an alcoholic, so this is, of course, what she would say.
But I'm gonna take a leap here, and so I don't know, if this is gonna work. There's a reason they're called spirits.
It's good.
And long ago, back when they were first discovered, the very, very first alcohol back in the old days was actually made in part by the blood of Fae, and so that essence of the magical spirit of the Fae that was in the original alcohol, kind of traces of it have remained in the processing, unbeknownst to everybody, who doesn't have this in-depth knowledge. And so that little extra oomph I can draw from it. I don't actually imbibe it, but I can draw it out, is where that point comes from, the damage against it.
Awesome. So I would think, Jess, that he doesn't drink it, which is what hurts your soul right there. So that's why you take a point of spirit, is that he takes it and he takes it in his hand, and he starts talking about these spirits, like, oh, you didn't know, and you start seeing this smoke kind of come out of the bottle as he's talking. It must be chanting or adding to the ritual. Isaac, what are you doing?
Oh, that's a good question. I like the spirits thing. That's because I think about it, all these witch doctors always spit on you with alcohol, right? That's a purification thing. How do I match that? Oh, check this out. So Isaac's looking, and he's maybe the arcane winds are kind of blowing his hair, and he's just kind of looking back as you're trying to move things here, and he's trying to understand what's going on, and kind of seeing maybe that you're kind of putting it together and trying to figure out, okay, well, does this work? Isaac looks and he's like, wait a second, this teleportation that we're doing, these sigils look exactly like circuitry. And he kind of looks back and he's like, well, where's the power coming from? It's coming from Alistair. Maybe if I adjust the circuitry a little bit, it'll be a little bit more effective. So he's gonna kind of plan.
Awesome.
And kind of look, and he kind of sees it almost like an analogy of, Alistair's the battery, and the power is going straight through the circuitry to open up sort of that tear in reality. And he's gonna Alistair, try this and move it this way, and connect those 2 points. And he's kind of planning with Alistair, to see where the most effective movement of this sigildry is kind of moving.
I'm going to say it's reason and plan.
Okay.
It's reason because you have a relationship, and he already looks to you for mundane inspiration. So it seems very reasonable that you saying this, actually, he would take. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the right word, right? He would take to heart. He would just be oh, yeah, sure. No, I see what you're saying.
See?
That was awesome, Sal. I like that Sal was talking on the Twitch about, when you were talking, and you're talking about the air flowing around, that, your camera was shaking a little bit. So he's it was adding to the scene.
Hey. Method acting.
It's awesome.
Looks like success on reason.
Yeah.
And success on the plan.
Okay.
So double success.
I hit Brandy up on the needs a lot of juice, so I'm not thinking. I feel like you kind of tackled that issue. You went directly at it. Like, I can see the matrix in what's going on here, and I can kind of piece together the code. Yeah, and Mesmero did not. I don't think he would have been. He's a little magical, but he wouldn't have been like technologically trapping this or something. So those stick. Do you think? I think that's outsmarting the challenge, unless you think it's you giving information that makes Alistair better suited for it, which could be a spirit thing.
Well, and if it helps, I mean, actually, it hadn't come up yet, but one of the reasons why he's so opposed to magic is like everybody who talks about it is it's all this major supernatural thing, and Alistair just sees it as technology that we don't understand. Like spells are just hacking the reality, basically. And so that's also why he has that interest in the more mundane aspects too. So that helps you decide which route to go with that. That is something your character would know from their interactions in the past.
Yes, and I basically kind of tell him, I'm like, man, you could do it. It's just you could do it, Alistair. All it is just a really advanced form of science. Kind of telling him.
Sure. That sounds like spirit. So we'll knock that spirit down to 2. And you could get rid of, maybe there's enough juice now. Maybe Mesmero doesn't have something that could cause you problems through how you're explaining it to him. Or you could add a tag that helps the others because of something new in the situation. So you can remove juice or Mesmero or add a new tag.
I think we can remove juice because now we have like a stabilized symbol of like just conduit just kind of going through. And now that we've stabilized it, you kind of like the car is started, we've put it in drive, now we just gotta find a way to step on the gas, so to speak.
Okay. Who's got an idea for that? What's the next action? Otherwise, I think it's probably Alistair.
Well, I do have an idea. And it would kind of actually play with what you're talking about earlier, like our method of travel and everything. If everybody's okay with it, the idea I had for that, like obviously at the base we have to open the casket and walk down the stairs, but to get there from anywhere fast, it opens a sort of teleportation portal. And you said like we can zip there real quick, and in my mind what that actually did was like it opened like this portal that we jumped through, and like the little part of our morpher comes out, and we actually cling on to like this energy rope, and we literally zip line down to the other side.
Oh, fun! Yeah, sure.
And so we come out like in the mausoleum, and then go down the stairs. So if everybody's okay with that method of travel, accessing that teleportation in the middle of the spell with a certain sigil built into it, actually opens the other end to at the outside of the Akashic Record gateway or whatever it is, allowing us to actually travel there using our morphers to zip line to it in conjunction with the power of the spell and all that.
Sure.
He hacked the spell.
So what strategy do you think is this about actually ziplining, which would be body, right? Is this about...
This is about... It might be mind, but it's about...
Power Ranger music blasting.
Knowing that we have a lot of power in the morphing grid connecting us and everything else, and this is already a sort of super technological, quasi-mystical energy thing that Monitor gave us in the first place, so it would make sense to link them together and use it to our advantage.
Okay, so it sounds like mind?
I don't see it as body.
What strategy do you want to use for it?
I think that would be best with memory. Okay. Just thinking back at everything I know about the technology combined with the magic and how best to interface them and things like that.
I like it. It's probably reason because you attach it to something that everyone understands. Like, this is how we get into the mausoleum, so this is how I can make us all want to you made it reasonable to the players.
I really should have gone with the higher reason. I expect with Arcane Arts to be doing a lot more imagining.
Yeah.
Let's see.
And how does he do? 2, 7. Okay, 1 success. No, I'm not going to stop you.
I'll just... Oh, you're not going to stop me?
No.
Okay.
Any takes you have? Don't forget also, you could use what Pedro, your relationship.
Yeah, I think that works. Like his adding to it the more engineering, almost like aspect of connecting the sigils, kind of triggered this thought of using the technology actual technology with it. And so that would be like the mundane inspiration part of it there.
Okay. Give me a roll. Is it for the strategy? Yep, it's got to be for strategy.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And that's going to bring the mind down to 2. Is there a tag you want to add, or do you want to dispatch?
I'll go ahead and
Mesmero's
take off the last one, just because he's not our enemy. He doesn't know what abilities and tech we have. He's never dealt with these rangers, and so whatever he did may have been useful for preventing the ranger and the technology he knows, but not necessarily ours.
Makes sense. Yeah, like he made these actual physical like traps that were like on the path, or if you would get in the coffin, maybe like you would have like the runes maybe would have made you forget everything, but instead nobody got in the coffin and tried to follow him that way. Okay, so last but not least, who's gonna try to finish it off? Alistair's got all of this sort of energy. There's like this ripple opening up that like you can see almost like the zip cord lowering down into what looks like this space cosmo void, and at the bottom this shining purple light, which must be almost like this purplescent cloud that has like this tome of knowledge. You can't really make it out. You can only your imagination is filling in what you think maybe it should look like.
Everyone sees it differently. Just
Jessica, so South said that maybe this is a perfect hold my beer moment because you
That's
would
what
see
I
the
was
zip
just
cord.
thinking.
yes.
Yeah.
Like the cord's not even all the way formed. It's like, screw it.
Now, if it's just physical, it's body. But if you can explain how this is like motivational or inspiring, we can make the spirit. Try to finish it off.
Ooh. Finish it off. Finish it off. Finish it off.
Let's see. So how to make this inspirational?
Yeah, inspirational in your character's framework, right? Like,
well, I take a good swig from my bottle and I put it down. And I'm not entirely certain even why we're going in there.
Which makes sense. You were kind of drinking while they were talking about it.
Huh?
Like you were drinking while they were talking about it?
Yeah, I was drinking. I was carrying Ned's skull around. I was playing with the ooze, like wiping it on things, and yeah.
No.
Now,
I am
that later.
as a player, I mean, the Akashic records are like what Monitor uses to like actually know all the stuff he does.
This is bad. So inspirational. Would it be inspirational for them to suddenly go, "Oh crap, we need to get in there before she screws anything up"?
That could be. That's
there we go. That's my inspiration.
Yeah. So do you think
inspiring them to hurry the heck up?
What strategy is it?
What strategy would it be? Let's see. Well, hold my beer is a tag. So would it be bad advice or brawl? I think it'd be bad advice.
Sure. I think it's a stretch because you're role modeling bad advice, right? So let's say.
Will be making excuses, but.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's imagine bad advice. It could be imagine bad excuses as well, but.
Okay, let's do imagine bad advice. Ready? All right. So I grab the zip cord and I'm just like going to jump in.
As Pedro, you staring on, are like, what would she even ask if she saw? If
I'm
she
just
had
like
infinite knowledge. What would Brandy want to know?
I know. I'm also kind of impressed because she's just like, puts a beer aside, and just starts going. What's wrong? Like, no, what are you doing?
You two are trying to perfect like the technique, the algorithm, the portal strength channel all the juice, and she just like, I see a zip cord. Change her.
So.
And I'm like, I guess we're doing this. I might be inspired to follow her.
You got 1 success.
All right.
Do you have any tags that would help you? Now, we already mentioned...
Hold my beer.
So, physically, I think that probably needs to happen, right? So, like, who do you give it to?
Well, I mean, I set it down.
Oh, you set it down?
I'd give it to Ivan. Alistair would probably be doing magic-y stuff, so I give it to Ivan.
Now Ivan. Awesome.
It's so strong.
They have a neighbor relationship, and she had mentioned that like she doesn't actually know his name, so that's why it's funny when she just keeps calling him some other I name.
Yep, or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Isaac.
So you jump on the board, you slide down. Let's see if it helps.
All right, ready? Hold my beer.
Oh!
Like that was anticlimactic because I couldn't see it. It's a 10. Okay. So with that, so you have 1 success. You hand it off. You're like, hold this. She hits the cord and she just starts zipping down. In your case, you see them. If you look back, like getting smaller and smaller and smaller, as you start flying in this infinite like void, headed towards what's getting larger and larger and larger. This sort of like almost like purplescent cloud, and there's this giant figure that looks a lot like an elephant head, with like multitude of arms that seems like as big as like 4 people. That seems to be standing at like the threshold of where the zip line's gonna come down. You're just like flying at the high speed towards it, going, oh sh. So she went down the line. Alistair, Isaac, the 2 of you just see her, and she's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. She does 1 point to the spirit, so that's what we're working with. Is we have 1 point left to the spirit or 2 points to the mind.
She went through without disintegrating. That's good, right?
So, I've got the jumper cables connecting me to the goo that I'm channeling energy through. I've got the extra boost from the spirit, from the actual spirit that she gave me, from the extra sigils that Isaac had me connect, and my own magical energy. Brandy just jumped through, and so this would probably be spirit. I turn to Isaac, and I just glare with a look like, finish this, as I like struggle to hold it open. And so that's actually my strategy, is the glare.
Okay, go for it. Sounds like reasonable.
Or glaring, rather, but still, yeah.
And okay, 1 success. It is enough, but if you want to push on, what tag would help you? Because you kind of brought Isaac into this. So is there something that you leave Isaac with, which is like, this helps because he needs to go. Maybe you're trying to get him to go in, right? So that you can jump in and leave.
Right. Maybe kind of a little bit of my ironically skeptical, because it's like magic, technology, there's the Akashic Records, it's just another dimension with a certain frequency that science hasn't detected and blah, blah, blah. But if anybody can figure it out, it's him, but it's still not technology, so do this already. I don't know if that would work or not, but that's the best I got.
It definitely would. So, like, you say it, and, like, Isaac's just kind of, like, looking, and he's just like, a brave new frontier. He gets up, like, gets one of the clip. Let's go, man.
And it happens to succeed, so.
Okay. So, Lucid, you see him zip on down. You see basically Brandy disappear, right? As she just zipped so far that she's no longer visible. What do you do?
I shake the jumper cables loose and jump up and attach my morpher and go down the zip line behind him.
Okay. So, as the two of you are zipping down the line, you see what Brandy had seen before. Is there is a giant figure, which by giant, I'm not talking like like Zorb giant, yeah, because it's important to mention. We're talking like giant is maybe like 10, 15 feet tall, like large, like elephant-faced, humanoid-looking, multi-armed, something out of almost like a Hindu god that's standing in like what looks to be like sort of almost just like purpley smoke, which must have some physical base to stand on. And as you get closer and closer, it gets larger and larger. And you can see in its eyes, like its eyes are like made of gold. And you can just kind of see almost like the wisdom in its eyes. And both of you, as you kind of land, Brandy, when you get there, you were first there, and it stands in your way, crossing 4 of its arms. It says, "I am the gatekeeper." So what do you tell them as they land individually?
He's the gatekeeper. Can I be the keymaster?
Awesome. All right. So that's where we stop for this session. We continue on to actually accessing the records next Tuesday. But every game we end with gratitude. So with gratitude, think for a minute about what was something that made your experience better today that another player did for you, or said for you, or gave to you, or.
Well, I'm going to go with Pedro, with Isaac's, the way he interfaced the technology with the magic, just because it did play so well with my own idea of the character that he had no idea I had that idea of my character in mind.
It was cool too. It was a cool way to like switch it up and make something very visual too.
I like that Brandy protected me from bullies because that was a very important science project, and I just was happy she got up and just hit that guy with the book. So, pass. Sometimes it's better that way.
I appreciate how patient everybody was with my multiple technology issues.
I really feel for you, especially because, like I said, it happens to everyone. I've had my fair share, and for you, in your case, I know too. Like you were like a half hour before we started, like, "Hey, I'm running around like mad. Got to fix this, move to this computer, do this thing," and it was all working until we started, right? And of course, right? So
I had my laptop, which crapped out on me, and then we went to my desktop, which I knew was in a lousy place for good internet, but it was working, so I was hopeful. And now we have dissolved to my cell phone, but it worked, and 4G service, but it worked, so I will take it.
All right, folks. Well, if each of you want to sign off here, we're going to close the stream. We'll see you again next Tuesday as we continue to access the Akashic Records. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. And gang, I will talk to you in a second, okay?
All right. Well, thank you for running, and have a good night.
Peace.